Fantastic. Well, thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. My name is Heather Yurko. I am thrilled to be the facilitator of the Service Innovation Excellence series hosted by ISSIP. ISSIP is the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. We've been working closely with Scad over the last few years. We are very privileged to have the executive director here with us today. So I wanted to kick us off just with a really brief introduction of ISSIP. And Yasi, let me turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful to have all of you here. ISSIP is the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals, and we are a nonprofit organization promoting service innovation and service innovators. And service design is so much at the heart of this, and I think the glue that connects everything. I often say our world is over-engineered and under-designed. So, and that's the problem with our world. If you want to learn more about ISSIP, go to issip.org and feel free to register. And there are many different ways to get engaged, and wonderful to have you here. And again, congratulations to the Scad Service Design Program for this well-deserved award.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yasi. And with that, I will kick it over to Mauricio to share a bit about the work that Scad and the team has done, and why the team has won this wonderful award. And so you'll see, I think, as we go through the presentation, just what a great job everyone has done. So Mauricio, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Yasi, thank you both and the whole ISSIP team to having awarded us such a important award. Thank you very much. I will, I guess we can start with, I'll present briefly. And we have our chair here, Jamie, Deborah, and Emily, a part of the Scad team. So we would be able to explore this more in depth, right? So you'll be very short and I hope interesting. So this is the people directly involved in what we have just achieved with the award and all the growth and recognition that we have are obtaining, right? President Wallace, our Dean Hermoli, John, dear John that joined us here, Ricardo Martins, Zena Vilado, and myself, and then I have, my life or our life as a program will not be possible or viable without people like Jamie, Emily Meyer, Jamie Gall that is with us here, and Silk Powers, Deborah, my dear Deborah, she's always on board. So I think, and this is a program that is all these hands and many others that work here and contribute to the 10 years that we have, having 11 years of the program. Right? So how service design the program at Scad? We, as I guess you all know, right? Service design is this connector, this build relationships, memorable and valuable relationships between organization and people and stakeholders. Right? This is the core of our understanding of our role, what we should do, and what should be expected from us. We have, around this core idea, developed a DFA program, 4 years, right, undergrad, a minor, so students can take one of the 40 plus majors that Scad offers, and add a minor in service design. They can get an MFA, is a 2-year program, and more recently, after based on the demand of many organizations, we start to roll out a MA program. So it's completely online and 1-year duration. The main, and it was very interesting how the organizations, the industry approached us. The problem they had is like they were trying to hire service designers they couldn't find, and they told us that in order for them to train their employees back then, they had to send these few people that they were lacking of for a 2-year period here at Scad. And they challenged us to come up with a way to deliver the same content for their current employees on the job. And this is the program. We're being very excited is the first results. We had the first few students that graduated from this program. All the projects that they did were able to be embedded in the organization they work with. So at least in this first batch, we accomplished the challenge, right? To provide the knowledge that these organizations wanted for on-the-job employees, directly impacting their performance and the performance of the organization. We started with 5 students with on a MA in the fall, right, John? I guess it was last fall. So the cohort went from 5 students, this experiment or pilot that we did. Now the new cohort is starting with 17. So it's a 3-fold increase. We're still trying to balance capacity, our internal capacity to deal with potential growth. This is for later. Since it's ISSIP and knowing all of you, knowing the members, I thought it was important just to give a little sense of the theories and background behind the program. So basically, we position service design under the socio-technical design, right? The evolutionary epistemology. You have Churns, Campbell, Lippendorf, all this Simonton. Inside this realm, we focus on service systems, basically Vargo and Lush, right? That you all know so well. Innovation as a social and creative phenomena, basically process of blind variation, selective retention, Simonton. Data construction, this is a very interesting thing. We don't divide data into qualitative and quantitative. It seems to be too broad. We work under the framework of Habermas that divides data in terms of instrumental, practical, and emancipatory. Right? Let's say instrumental would be almost what we understand by quantitative or objective data, and practical would be more qualitative. The emancipatory is this new category that position these data sets more precisely. And then we stop at the social context, right? We're not interested in people's mind. We're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. We're not charlatans. So we don't want to control people. We stop at the group level, right? This is just a glimpse. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to explore more in terms of content. this is a result, how we do this, right? How we work. This is a result of a research done by our MFA students in 2017-18. They interviewed several organizational managers in the US. With these organization managers, they created a request for proposal that would be as complex, as challenging as possible, sent to 40 service designers in the world, and collected their response, how they would address this. And based on this, they came up with these 3 perspectives, that everything that these service designers do, they are either trying to understand the stakeholders context, or what's called the state A, either trying to understand how far can they go, how disruptive or not can we be in that context, and then the bridge, how to get there. So, and we adopt these perspectives throughout our program too. We are happy to say that Scad, as a whole school, was ranked just recently the #1 art school in the US, by art and object experts. And again, they one of the criteria that they used was the number of majors, the events that we hold, and the success of our students experience after graduation. Right? We have one of the highest employment rates among all colleges in the US, and well, and many more things are in terms of our buildings and facilities are really top in terms of art and design in schools, right? And I could not mention this. For me, it's an honor, again, knowing the institution and be recognized by the institution and all these wonderful people that support and nourish ISSIP. It's amazing to be recognized. I get emotional when I talk about it. In terms of industry engagement, we again, we have a very close proximity with the industry, right? And we were being asked all the time by companies to come to class and meet our students. And with these generous, amazing friends, I would say partners, but they're more than partners, they're friends. We're creating pilots to have a class membership program. So our classes will be visited throughout the quarter. We work as a quarter, right? By companies. And the students will be able to exchange with them experience, questions, right? And these mentors will get to know these students. So with the potential outcome of having them as colleagues later on, right? And the students will be able to tap into people that are working and can contribute to their development. So at this first stage, we're working with ISSIP, of course, Frog, Design, MGV, Innovation, North, Highland, and Slalom. At least this was the first group that we came together to co-create this program. But we have an extensive list of other companies that want to participate as soon as we finish this pilot and refine the whole process. So this is the type of relationship that we have with the industry. And then our students are all over the place. We graduate around 20 students per year. And in one moment in time, they have 100 open job positions. So it's very pleasing to see that all these companies trust and rely on the work we're doing to structure their service design team. It's what is interesting also is that even in terms of minor, right? If students are taking a minor, we know by the numbers we have here at Scad that whatever minor that the students, whatever major, one of the more than 40 majors that we have the students choose, if they have a minor in service design, these students statistically will find a job faster and entry salary higher than comparable students that has other majors or other minors, right? And in a sense, I love this fact because it shows how permeable, how widespread is this concept, right? In any industry, at least from the 40 plus majors that we have at Scad, in all these different industries, if the student has a minor in service design, he's hired faster, right? It gives you a sense of how well we are reaching, right? The service design is reaching all across the industry. This is just because most of the time, but service design is not UX, or see what's the difference, right? For the ones that don't know service design very well. So first, let me just clarify why it's not service experience, and we are called service design, right? Any discipline that attaches its name the word experience, by definition, experience means what worked. One of the etymologies or origin of the word is expedi, out of danger, like what you learn out of a dangerous experience. So from our perspective, any discipline that attaches itself to the word experience is concerned about collecting what works, what doesn't work, what it's the best way, but it's based on actual experience of people, right? The record of experience. Any discipline that attaches itself to the word design is thinking about what's next, even if the first experience or the initial experience are bad, right? If you remember how when it starts to be, I don't know, any technology when it comes, right? The first computer that you used was awful, but there was an understanding that keep going, right? Or the first web e-commerce website, awkward, like, oh, my credit card, how this will be delivered. So even if it's not a good experience, there are pathways that should or could be explored, no matter if the experience is at first good or not. Okay, and service design, we see ourselves, we can do the experience, right? Like benchmarking and apply the best practices. But as a discipline, we're much more interested in the next practice. Okay. Then a thing that Don Norman repeats all over and over again, he and many others say that you cannot use people. So user experience is only when it's intended to a relationship between a human and an object, no matter if it's a website, a tangible or virtual object. User experience would never be placed when someone goes to a doctor, right? You're not using the doctor is not using you. So it's not, it cannot be user experience. I'm not very friendly with computers, so I love user experience people because it makes my life way better when they have a chance to work on any interaction human object. So unquestionably important, but because the word uh, we have this limitation. You cannot use humans or should not use them. The customer also is it's transactional, right? So it's by definition transactional, and the same way, not everything can be reduced to transaction, right? If you, for instance, if you go to a store, you buy a backpack, you pay your backpack, no matter if you deserve or not, it's your backpack. This is a customer journey, right? At school, my work as a professor, I don't care if you paid all your fees and you're completely done with all your financial obligations towards the institution, you may not get your degree. Okay? So I cannot reduce the relationship that I have with a student to a transaction, right? Important. I don't discuss at all this, right? The flow of money and the transaction level needs to be as friendly as possible, but cannot be all, right? And then service design for us is this welcoming, encompassing connection of all the bits and pieces, are trying to put every element or important element together. Specifically, I think for government, banking, healthcare, education, and more in organizational adaptability, makes total sense to be broader, right? When I'm working with government, I always tell them, if you call a citizen a customer, you're wasting a precious opportunity to ask them more than they can do, right? Or as a customer, right? You can demand much more from a citizen than you can demand from a customer. I can actually ask a citizen to die for the country. I cannot ask a customer to die for the country. Okay? So every time that I work with governmental institutions, please don't do that. Don't call your constituents or your citizens customer. The same thing with banking, right? You're touching such a core concept in a person. It cannot be transactional. You want more loans? Okay, I can give you more loans. It's not how it should be. Healthcare and education, as I mentioned. We can discuss further down the road. So in a way, for us, words matter, right? Just a matter to know which game are you playing. If you focus on the transaction, you focus on the use, or you focus on the integrating the whole thing together, right? And we call this, the name of the game would be service design, and you think systemically and try to connect all these dots in a meaningful way, memorable way. And I just add this because people, when I say this, when you see all these areas connected, you're doing service design, right? And people say, yeah, that's exactly how I do. No matter what my function, I try to see all these things, how they impact each other. So welcome, you're doing this. This is service design. Okay. If you want to know more, I guess the best source or the easier one would be go to the Service Design Network website. They publish Touchpoints, the main journal on service design, treating all kinds of aspects of service design, from tools to approaches to the next volume will be on measuring service experience. it's promising. I heard that the papers that will be published were really, really interesting. Many books. This is Service Design Doing. It's a bestseller. We have orchestrating experience with harmonic and Patrick, design invisible with a lot of planning. Parsons. You can have videos, very simple video. This is a very good, if you Google, you can say, what is a tale of two coffee shops, and you find it's a very short video that's really interesting to watch. A global event, very fun to attend. And then I post several introductory texts that you can find on LinkedIn. So the importance of exposure to service design, why there's no X in service design, right? Playing around color grid about the light, which gives a lantern. The light which experience gives is a lantern on the stern, right? From beginning to end, everything is service. This is a very introductory text about service dominant logic, mapping design conversations, and that's it. For now, I'm open for questions. Please contact me. I'm sorry for, I was planning to do this in 20 minutes, 25. And I invite questions, reflections. John, please, Jamie, Deborah, if you want to add.
Mauricio, I actually have a question. For organizations that are not currently engaged with you and your students, what is the best way to get engaged?
The best way is a wonderful person that her name is Deborah Pierce, that is with us today. She, if you contact her, first you'll have a friend for life. And second, she will be able to move mountains to get whatever you need to. I don't know if Deborah could share, I don't know, contacts, and if there's any organization that would like to join us, especially after we finish the pilot, we'll be opening the class mentorship program to all the, I don't know if we will be able to include them immediately. Right? We need to go through the ones that are already there, but definitely Deborah will be able to.
Hey guys, I can jump in real quick too, Mauricio. I just threw my Deborah Pierce, hi, nice to meet you, and my email in there. Anyone that you hear of that you think might be someone worth us even reaching out to, even if they're not hiring, contact me. I have a whole team that's based throughout the United States. Emily, who's on the call right now, she's in DC. Lots of service designers in that area that be happy to help you. And like Mauricio said, we just started this new pilot program for our mentoring program. Thank you, Mauricio and team, for helping make that happen. It went really well. I think there were at least 15 different employer speakers participating in 4 class sessions this last week. And we're basically setting this up so that it'll run like clockwork. So we hear of companies that are interested in mentoring and getting better connected. We have already started our next list for next quarter, so that we will just kind of plug and play later on and have them have a direct access to students and Mauricio in hopes of getting them connected to opportunities.
And adding also that these, not this first set of companies, right? Harmonic, Slalom, ISSIP, MJP.
Yeah.
So they know service design, right? We have had this preference to start with people who know service design to help us adjust. But the goal is to have just someone or a company that wants to join has experience in the market of consultancy or other areas that are similar to service design, and they will have also an opportunity to learn more about it, right? How to do it. By mentoring the students, they will be able to understand what they do, how they do. Right?
Thank you so much, both of you.
Sure. Mauricio, I have a question.
Yes.
So sometimes we're interacting with companies that, one, don't know what service design is, and two, probably need it more than they realize. And sometimes just having a conversation with someone who doesn't understand it, how would you say, hey, I'm trying to think of an industry. Let's use landscape architecture. They tend to not think of service design as something that they would be able to use, even though they might be designing a landscape for a beautiful resort that has all kinds of reasons why they would want to use service design. So how would you, in layman's term, let's clarify that in layman's term, let someone who doesn't know about service design know why they should do it and the benefits of it, and the reason, the outcomes of having someone on staff to do that.
Awesome. The landscaping architecture is a very interesting field. Especially, we just had a MFA student. He finished his thesis, and he has an architecture background. And he said, "How can I explain to other architects what service design is?" And he came up, after trying and testing, he came up with a short explanation that is what architecture does to buildings, service design does to service. And then service design is the architecture of value. Of course, he developed this to talk to other architects, right? And in service design, we're very concerned about contextual thing, right? It might not be the same explanation that I would give an architect or an architectural firm to, let's say, heavy industry one. So in each case, we always try to be contextual, to bring service design as close as possible, right? And ISSIP members know that if you think about service from the service domain logic perspective, everything's service. So it's very easy for us to craft or get closer, right? Contextualize service design to any industry. But for the landscape would be what landscape architecture does to land, service design does to service. So it's a way to say, hey, we're kind of an architecture of value.
Maybe to further elaborate, there's so many opportunities and jobs in this industry. How would you convince students who are often attracted to, something that maybe it's not as many opportunities, but sexy, to join? I mean, our animation program, for instance, has over 5,000 students, compared to service design, but there's many, many jobs in service design.
Yeah. What is interesting, like we were discussing this with one of our friends, Greg from Slalom, right? And we were kind of wondering how could we present, because he needs service design at Slalom too, and you don't have enough. The joke we make is like, no kid grow up thinking, when I grow up, I want to become a service designer. Right? This is not. It's not there, and we would like to reach out to them. But in terms of potential opportunities of work, like we have here at Scad, right? Any major that has, any student from any major that has a minor in service design gets job faster, and with an entry level, entry salary higher. Why? And awesome to say this to an ISSIP audience, right? Again, service dominant logic says that everything is service. If you know service, right, 80% at least of the GDP is based on service. If you know what service is, how to design service, how to improve and make it better from this more human perspective, you're employable in any industry, right? Even as a freelance, you're still providing service. So if you know the dynamics, how this works, what is service provider service, like co-creating value means, you're valuable. Right?
Hey, Deb, I've got a thought for you. So I started my career as an industrial designer, and I was designing artifacts, medical devices, physical packages for large CPG organizations. And I was designing things, bottles, syringes, sachets, boxes, all that kind of stuff. When I look at service design, I think of an end-to-end service. So we're going to have a presentation tomorrow from a former colleague of mine. He's going to talk about how a business that we used to work on has evolved from sending boxes to a store to a customer, and then the customer distributes them according to his business model, to how they evolved that business into more of a direct service to consumers. And when I think of the design challenges between where I started and what service design is doing, for me, there's a more in-depth, end-to-end opportunity to surround a consumer with your brand and how it serves you. And so I may have, I'm an industrial designer. I evolved into a brand designer because of the career path I chose. And the next evolution for me, in many respects, had I stayed on that career path, was to think about the totality of a consumer experience with any kind of brand. And that, to me, as today I might walk into a Kroger or a Walmart or a Target or somebody like that and pick up a package that I designed 20 years ago. And in the future, it's going to be, how does that brand, how does what that brand stands for, what's its purpose, and how does that brand deliver that to you? So in many respects, I have the opportunity to create a phenomenal experience that surrounds the consumer with, hopefully something that's as delightful as a chocolate biscuit. And before it was about designing the box, and now it's about the experience of what comes with that chocolate biscuit. So to me, or cookie in American English, that's one of the things that service design can offer, that other disciplines, they're not more or less important, they're just different. They have very specific skills, and I think service design has a broader scope. And certainly from an industry point of view, and Maurizio was going to hate me reminding him about this, but I keep saying, why can't we go and do service design work in a CPG organization? Because they need it. As much as a financial organization, as much as a mobility organization, they all need this. And I think the upside opportunity for service design is, probably more dramatic now than certainly at the point when I was really practicing design. Does that help?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I really love all the comments. And if I may add, I think service design really enables innovators all innovators, we believe, are service innovators, but not all innovators believe themselves they're service innovators. And actually, we want to stay away from that when we are having conversations with industry. I think the thing that really lands is that service design enables you to deal with the complexity of innovation and opens wider windows for innovation. So if from the get-go you have an awareness of your organization, the ecosystem around your organization, internal and external, and I think service design versus UX design, that's such a distinction to me, that looking at it from a service design point of view, it is from the get-go, it's systemic and helps me see blind spots as I'm innovating into basically how to engage my ecosystem and how to leverage that complexity. I don't know how to put that into one sentence. And I think that's a challenge and opportunity for all of us. But I agree with John that it is so needed, and it is, we all need it and we are not aware of. I often say it's like riding a bicycle. To ride a bicycle, you need balance, right? So it's the balance in riding the bicycle. You don't necessarily, when you ride a bicycle, say, I need to learn how to balance.
One thing that is interesting also, Lassie, John, and Deborah, is that no other profession, there's no profession that can be clearly explained, right? If you ask what management does, right? Or better, if you ask someone, what a manager do or does? People say, yeah, I know. Okay, describe it to me. Be precise, give me a description. And I'm not saying this, it's many sociological studies, right? What we know, when you think, even a very interesting paper on what doctors do, what is medicine, right, as a profession? It's surprisingly impossible to define. Doctors, right? We kind of know, I know exactly what doctors do. So trying to find the perfect definition was never possible, or finding the perfect definition was never achieved by any profession, right? But we demand from the new ones this definition. What is important, and this is one of the texts that I wrote that is being used across the globe in many programs of service design, is the importance of exposure to service design over its precise definition. Okay, so if you want to spread the word about design, point towards things that people are doing instead of trying to define what exactly the profession is. Right? That would be kind of the technically most effective approach. Show people, Uber, they don't have cars, they don't have drivers, they don't have, it's all arranged. This balance is obtained as a service design thing, right? Not necessarily that they know about this, but technically what bring all these things together with the map, people, passengers, the company itself, cities, is the work that service design does.
Mauricio, we have 2 additional questions that have come through. The first one was, for the MFA program in service design, how much work experience is necessary prior to the program?
I don't know if John wants to jump in? Or I think it should be some experience. If you case by case, right? I would advise the students that just graduated from undergrad to have at least 2 or 3 cycles, right, in companies working to actually take the most advantage of the program, because they will have more, right? They were exposed to real life, the idiosyncrasies of real life, and will appreciate even more this capacity of connecting people that Service Design has. But we had amazing. So against my belief, we had amazing, and I mean amazing, grad students straight out of college, and just jump into and they were astonishing. So I'm very careful. My knee-jerk reaction is like, wait, work 2 or 3 years before getting to a service design program or MA or grad level. But we've seen students doing amazing things straight out of undergrad, and are working and successful. Like, was just so for that that set of students. My advice would be a waste of time. Right? Oh, I have to come back. No, they just launch like rockets. So I don't know if I helped, but
I've got a point of view on that question.
please.
It's not time-based, in my opinion. It's mindset-based.
Yeah.
If you have the right mindset, open to learning, open to creative, open to executing with excellence. I don't mind if you're coming straight from an undergrad course or if you've been in industry for 20 or 30 years. If you have the right mindset and the right application, then time is irrelevant to me.
Awesome point, John. And just to be inclusive, right? We have and had awesome students of my age, right? So, and they were very concerned. Oh, I guess it's too late for me to go to. And they are doing really well. My goodness, it's a pleasure to have them in class.
That's great, Mauricio.
Yeah.
The last question that I had was, this is actually one of my questions. I'm very curious to know if there are any examples that you have of partnerships between organizational designers and service designers, and what you've seen, through those partnerships.
Yes, I remember this discussion in one of the service design conference, and I'm sorry, Heather, I don't remember. It was very insightful, the discussion we had about the organizational design as this mostly inward looking, right? Mm-hmm. And completely justifiable, right? And, a smaller chunk of thing to deal with. And the service design approach that it's not even outward looking, is there are no boundaries, right? And this overlap is, if I remember well, the discussion that they had is like, it's the same way. So the gist of the discussion was, the same way that UX designers and customer experience designers are fundamental because they zoom into a particular part, right? A particular aspect of this whole experience. And we keep this step back, kind of seeing how these pieces are falling together. You have the both, the better of both, right? Someone zooming in, even if they have like different levels of zoom in, zoom out, but it's focused. Organizational design in that sense would be more focused internally, right? And I guess the project was an Austrian company that they were discussing, and how well they work together, because while the organizational designers could keep their focus and care and details of a smaller amount of moving parts, the service design team that was interacting with them brought this permeability to the table, right? So it was, I guess, was in Dublin that I watched this discussion.
I'm so curious about it because I had the great pleasure a few years ago of doing both simultaneously. And what I mean by this is reimagining how we delivered a service. And this was internally, right? This was inside an organization, but delivering an engineering service to a service supply chain team. And as we started pulling apart how we were, delivering the service to them, it like immediately became clear to me that I needed to look at the organizational structure, the operating model, and like organize all of these things in service of the design, right? And so like being able to have these things connected, I think because of my background, became like really apparent to me really quickly that it's like, I can't deliver the service the way this organization is set up, the way it is today. Like I'm going to have to restructure all of these things to be able to deliver it more effectively in the way that we want to go for the future. And so I'm very, very personally curious, like how, like, is this a practice that we're seeing emerge anywhere else?
So we consider ourselves the official definition from STN is service design choreographs, process, people, and technologies, right? So, in part of the pleasure that I have with my work as a service designer is to actually talk with experts all the time, right? So I had, what was the student, the student is developing a service design project now, and she came to me complaining that she was suffering from imposter syndrome. I didn't do anything. They had the idea. I just connected them and and I'm getting credit for something I didn't do. And I said, no, that's exactly your work. That's why you're getting credit. It's not your idea that counts. It's your capacity to connect these people.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I thought it was kind of cute and emotional that she was feeling imposter syndrome, right? Because I didn't do anything. I just met people and made them shake hands and kind of had a keen eye for interesting ideas, right? Curating this, but I didn't have any of these ideas.
I love that. And that story really resonates with me because I think another key part of this, and I'm not sure how much, we talk about this as a community, is, systems thinking, holistic thinking. And that's a skill that can be very seriously lacking in large organizations, because people often come in and they say, this is the thing I do, this is my silo, the whole like stay in your lane mentality, or, you know, it's like, this is the thing that I do. And when you have people that come in that are nodes, that are those connectors or hubs that are able to see how does all of this fit together and look at the entire system, that becomes, you know, and it might feel so natural and normal that you don't understand that no one else can do this or does this. And so it feels like, oh, this isn't work. I just, you know, whatever. I just, you know, brought some people together, but it can be the most important work that is done in that entire organization because no one else knows how to do it.
No, when she told me this, I felt like, you know, like immediate, like transporting myself to the same place. I've been there, right? And you, in your head, you're just solving problem. I heard Heather saying this, and now John is saying that. Hey, you should talk to each other, right? Hey, you have this problem. I'm not doing anything. I'm just pushing things around here, and it's not important, right? And then you have, wow, this is really, it's not everybody that can do this.
It's critically important.
Yeah.
It's critically important. I love it. Let me see if we have any. Oh, yes, we have another question. We are curious to know what are some of the main touch points between Scad service design students and industry partners?
In terms of, if we consider touch points as at least a small set of service encounters, we have first this type, the program that Deborah is kind of piloting with us is a result of many ad hoc case-to-case companies that came to us. Oh, I need to talk to your students. Can we have a, so the reach out, like these companies reaching out to us was so big that at some point said, well, we need to organize this, otherwise Mauricio will die trying to put in this case by case. So this is thing. Luckily, we are positioned inside the service design community as the first go-to source for many companies. So it's kind of falls on our lap, right? Of course, we try to do the best work we can do to keep the confidence that we gained so far, but they fall on our lap. Then we have the Alumni Reunion, right? The homecoming. We have once a year, usually in September. No, sorry, February. We have this homecoming. 200 students come back, and these students are now working on organizations. So the students and these organizations meet again. Usually have 16 speakers from all over the industry, not necessarily alumni. So this would be a main touch point. Then we have the Facebook group with around, it's a private group with almost 800 participants. It's a group that connects the students and us with a larger community across the globe. And then we have also another private group on LinkedIn that only students can participate. So we have, you can find us on Facebook.
Actually, can I jump in for a second?
Oh, sure.
I see that the time's running out, but I wanted to jump in. I'm not Heather Yorko. I'm Jamie Gall. I am the Director of Institutional Recognition at Scad. So I help to facilitate the award with ISSIP and the Service Design Department. And previous to this position, I worked at Scad's Collaborative Learning Center in what is now Scad Pro. So Scad Pro is Scad's innovation and design studio, and we work directly with industry partners. They can be from the nonprofit sector or the private sector in all industries and areas. And service design is a huge part of that program. I think most every project that goes through Scad Pro has at least one service design student, if not more, or somebody from the faculty leading the project. This was a huge piece of our application for the ISSIP award. I think, so I'm looking at some stats right here in front of me, and Scad Pro courses have been led 18 times by service design faculty, which is huge. And to go even further, 152 Scad service design students, which is 79% of the service design class, have participated 211 times in Scad Pro courses. So these numbers are actually huge considering how many students are enrolled. And it is, I think, a really big piece and touch point between students and industry. And it really goes toward that co-creation element. We work very closely with industry to direct our curriculum. And it says a lot about the current status of our program and its future, I think, as well. So thank you for the award. I'm sorry to take up so much time, but I wanted to jump in.
That's a great
Jamie,
point, Heather.
yeah.
That's a great point. There isn't one. I get involved in a lot of the scoping of Scad Pro projects and run some of the projects as well. And I haven't come across one where we haven't had a service designer or two, sometimes more, but usually one or two in these classes, and they almost always a consideration across the entire Scad Pro portfolio. So
thank you so much for jumping in, Jamie. I appreciate that. We are at time. So how quickly that hour flew. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined today. Deeply appreciate the work that Scad has done. Mauricio, always thank you so much for your partnership with us. It has been wonderful, very enlightening to me, just, kind of hearing and seeing more of how the program has evolved over the last few years. Deborah, you will be getting a reach out from me around potential partnerships. So very excited about that. And we'll certainly share this information as well as we post, so that if people listen to our recording and, want additional contact or information, they'll know where to go. Is that okay?
Absolutely, for sure.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone today. Appreciate your time and joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and join us for the rest of the series. We have more coming up every 2 weeks through the end of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Heather.
for everything.
Congratulations, Scad team.
thanks, Yassi.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye all.
And thank you, Mauricio.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
See you later.
Yeah.